With the Nasdaq dropping over 500 points today, how much lower can this market go? And for that, we turn to the closing bell. There is the closing bell, guys. With the S&Ps down over 90 points, you could say things got dicey. Just taking a look at the overnight session, we trended down about 30 points and only getting about 10 minutes of a pop before things headed south. Now, seeing in the final minutes of trade, we're struggling to going higher. Now, how much lower can we go? Now, when we take a look at the SPX, coming into this week, we expected 73 points of expected move. This was derived from the options chain. Now, sitting at 38.33, we're sitting right on that lower edge. You can just see. We started negative on Monday. We hit the lower edge on Tuesday. We got briefly positive in yesterday's session, and we quickly turned negative today. How much lower can we go? Well, we're sitting right at the 1 standard deviation level. When you take a look at it on a daily, if we are to see a 1.5 standard deviation, look for this 37.98, call it about 3,800, and if we do see some selling like we're seeing in today's tape, 37.62 is the absolute lowest I could see us going for a nice bounce. Now, that bounce is largely going to come out of technology. So when we take a look at the Nasdaq, today the Nasdaq is down over 3.25%. Getting as low as 500 plus points, the Nasdaq has gotten very crazy in the past 3 sessions. Just look at these wicks. Now, if we take a look at the Nasdaq, a 2 standard deviation move is around 12,907. 2.5 standard deviation is 12,740, and if we do see selling, 12,574 will be a 3 standard deviation. You can just see the volume spiking here. Do we bounce at the 2.5 sig, or will we see a 3 sig drop in tomorrow's session? That's going to be the real question here. And being down 3.25%, the Russell actually beat that. Taking a look at the Russell, it was down 3.6%. Some big volume here, and the Russell is getting pretty volatile. Taking a look at the Russell on an expected move, it's resting right on its lower edge at around $2,200, you can see. Now, what does the Russell do? Well, for that, let's take a look at some of our other sectors across the board. And when we look at the Big 5, today the Big 5 was down 3.2%. So you can see it's about in line with the Nasdaq. However, look at Tesla, down over 8%. Tesla is just bleeding, and it's definitely putting weight on our S&Ps. Down close to 100 points here. We're seeing a little bounce in the futures. But the bigger picture, the Big 5, these guys are huge market cap companies, and they're starting to roll over. If they continue to fall, the weight will be felt in the Nasdaq as well as the S&P. Taking a look at some of our other sectors, well, our best performer today was the utilities, and they were down 0.9%. So that's saying a lot right there. What else was down? Well, the financials are down 1.8%. Volume spiking up here. Just taking a look how they traded, it was trend down throughout the day, and the financials can't seem to get it going. As well as the XLE, the energy sector, down 1.9%. Bigger picture here, the financials and energy are what's going to drive this marketplace, and they've been on a nice tear. The question is, are they going to continue to see sell-side activity? Are they going to be bought back up? What else was down? Well, the XLK technology sector down 3.5%, as well as the software stocks down 4.25%. Software stocks really bleeding, which put a lot of dampen on the Russell 2000. But notice the volume here in the technology sector. That's some big dumpage going on here. And when we take a look at our AD line, just about everything is selling off here. With 8 up and 93 down, nothing is safe when we see this full-blown selling to the downside. Just take a look at all of our sectors here. The question tomorrow is going to be, can the financials get going? Can the energy get going? If just those 2 sectors alone can get going, maybe technology can sell off a bit. But if all 3 are down, that's the perfect storm for a red down day. With all of our indexes in the deep red and the financials selling off quite a bit, you better hope that the bonds are green. And we take a look at these 30-year futures, and they are down 1% with equities. So what is going on here in this marketplace? Just taking a look at it intraday, a big player dumped his position at around 1 o'clock, and it was felt on the tape. Quickly came back higher. However, that could be a player getting out of his position. What it do for the TNX? Well, the TNX spiked up to a 1.6% yield. Just taking a look at the TNX on a 3-year daily, If that's not a cup, I don't know what a cup is. This 10-year yield is rising at a dramatic rate, and it's going to give this market problems, and the Federal Reserve is going to need to step up and do something about it. As for volatility, when we take a look at the futures, they are just roaring today, up 16% in these March contracts. Taking a look at it, how it traded intraday, it was soaring, seeing a little selling, but getting some bids here in the futures in the final minute. As for the VVIX, it's a lot of green and very little red. You can just see VVIX selling off a bit in the final minutes of trade. However, it just roared all throughout the day, bouncing off that 110 line. You can see bigger picture here. Volatility is expanding, so you guys better buckle up. Let's take a look at our dollar index, see how some of our commodities did, and talk a little bit about Bitcoin. Taking a look at the dollar index, it was pretty volatile today. You can see that intraday swing. However, bigger picture, dollar index is up 0.08%, just sitting at around 90. So not much going on in the dollar on the daily candle, but the wick is something to question. When we take a look at crude oil today, crude oil was actually green despite all the selling across the board. Sitting at 63.44, it's putting in a slight doji here. Is this the top for crude? Will it sell off and bring the energy sector with it? That's going to be something we'll have to watch forward in the coming days. As for gold, gold was down $27, over 1.5% today. Gold is just taking it to the chin. As for silver, it's down 2%, but silver's trend is a little more intact here. But for the most part, gold is selling pretty sizable amount today, and it's got a question, what's going on in this marketplace? And even Bitcoin, you can see, is down on the day, but ever so slightly, down $85 in these futures. That's standing up for selling across the board. You can just see in all these indexes and all these commodities and the dollar, and the Bitcoin is just sitting here at 49,000 on the dot. I made a tweet and I talked about consolidating between 45,000 to 52,000 will be very good for Bitcoin for about the next 2.5 weeks. March 16th, write it down on your calendars. I'm expecting another big move here in Bitcoin. As you can see, March 22nd on my charts signaled volatility, and we dropped over 10,000 points. So around March 16th, middle of March, I'm expecting some big moves here in Bitcoin. And if we can consolidate between now and then, that sign should be pointing higher. Anything under $50,000 in Bitcoin, in my opinion, is a great buy because the show is just getting started. There you have it for the stock market breakdown. So we saw a bloodbath today across all of our major indexes. Will the selling pick up going into tomorrow? It's going to come down to what financials, energy, and technology want to do. If we continue seeing sell side activity, look for 37.98 as the 1.5 sigma to play some solid support, as well as 37.62 in the SPX as a 2 standard deviation move. That's a pretty outlier move if you ask me, and that should be a solid level for a bounce just to end this week. You can tell this market clearly wants a capital injection. Will we see some stimulus? I saw some talk on Friday. Maybe they vote on it. Who knows? It could go into the weekend with a question mark, but this market has gotten very volatile, and you guys better be careful. If you get some gains in some questionable positions, take some profits. Cash is a position too, you know. And if you've watched this far, guys, I really appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up. It means a lot when you guys show some support. And if you're watching me for the first time, I do these breakdowns every day. Show some love and hit that subscribe button. It will really make my day as well. But any comments, questions, feedback for me, drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you. But on that note, I will see you in tomorrow's video. Have a great night. Take care. Peace.